Cool.
Okay, welcome back. And
It's been a week.
Marc Boyer
Yep.
of the Marijuana Party of Canada.
Uh-huh.
This is part 2.
Cool. It's been a week.
Okay, bring us up to date.
Well, there's been 5,000 hits on your web and on your count. Okay,
Yep.
That's unheard of for me. I've never seen those numbers of
I see.
hits, and apparently that's quite high for your videos as well. In a week.
Mine usually go up to 100,000, 10,000, 15.
Really cool.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so but I've never seen 5,000 hits in a week.
Yeah.
Take my word for it. Okay, I've been under publication bans for 12 years now.
I see.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So basically, last week, the Crown did file with or the Bar Society did file with the appeals court with their paperwork. Okay.
Okay. Could you sum up what the situation is in just a few words for our viewers who are joining us?
Okay, basically, I'm in the Court of Appeals where I've caught the government of Canada entrapping all Canadians into slavery, 279 of the Criminal Code of Canada. Okay, the repercussions of this are staggering, and they actually say it in their own paperwork, okay? Period, okay? They openly say it in their own paperwork, okay? They just don't want to deal with this issue because it's so embarrassing to be caught in slavery. Period. You can't be more. There's nothing more embarrassing than the Commonwealth and the world returning to institutionalized slavery. That's an embarrassment that they'd rather avoid. Okay. Now, as I said to Mr. Clesinger, the bar lawyer, okay, the Bar Society is imposing slavery on me. And through the courts, okay, through the Court of Appeals. I could have filed a 5-year process by filing Form 7.
This is the Court of Appeal
of BC.
Of BC.
Yes, okay. I could have filed a Form 7, which would have been a 5-year process like you went through. I filed a Form 1, and on April 11th, 2016, in a half-hour ruling, they have to say yes or no. And there's 3 yeses, and there's only 1 no. No is no, but they have a choice in yeses, okay? And as I said to the Crown, or to the Bar Association, how do you fight this? Okay? And they fought. They did file an objection to the thing, and as to their plea of petitions here, it's 4 pages long with the book, with the definitions, and the definitions are basically words that we have one understanding for, but they have another.
Could you kind of go through that?
Oh, the lexicography things here? Okay, basically definitions. It happens on any book, on all kinds of authorities, okay? Any serious legal paper has book definitions, and it always shows this listing of things, of words that are specific, okay? And authorities to practice law only refers to persons. Every one of these is a person, okay? A person can't do this. A person can't. And I don't have a person. None of these laws apply, but that's a jurisdiction thing. And it's jurisdiction that they're trampling on. Section 8, territorial rights. And what
you don't have a person because you don't have a birth certificate.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the few people in the world who has a legitimate lawful right and has never in their lifetime fallen for a trap to get a person.
Right.
And that's hard to do. That's really hard to do. I've lived a disciplined life to maintain my non-person status. I've gone out of my way. I've fought tremendous legal battles over the last 12 years for their erroneous assumption that I have a person. Okay? I'm supposed to be able to walk into a court of law and be dealt with under common law. People in England right now seem to think that they're the last stand of common law rights, and some people are actually being able to, coerce judges into doing common law. And in Canada, they're trying to destroy, well, they have destroyed it, okay? Period, they've destroyed it. Okay, now, basically in this book, which is the book of the reply book for leave to appeal and stay by the Bar Association, okay? Right here, the first page is just basic. And basically here, they've obviously read what I've done and heard what I said, and they say that I'm not, they never mentioned 279 of the Criminal Code, which is what I'm hitting them with, which is trafficking and slavery. And since they don't mention it, it means it was never recognized. None of that argument made one single onus as far as the bar is concerned.
I mean, the fact that Section 279 elapsed.
Yes, they don't mention it. It's simply not mentioned.
They don't understand that the prohibition.
Understand, stand under. Correct. It's a fancy word.
Yeah.
Understand, stand under. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Now, they make no mention. Okay. But they do mention the fact that, see, I was placing the Criminal Code in disrepute since 2001. Okay. And they say I'm placing the Criminal Code in disrepute since 1985. So they corrected me on that. And I agree. I agree. When you read other papers, see, I brought a book of authorities that the courts have given me. That's a 500-page filing of all free man rights of what's in Section 2, page 1. We're called organized pseudo-legal commercial arguments, concepts and schemes, OPCAs. I'm an OPCA. So are 10 other authorities in the United States. It's this big book, 700 pages of their case law precedences. If somebody wants this, contact me. It costs about $60 to reproduce, okay? Sorry, I can't give it away. Posting it is this side of, you need a huge website to post it. But, bottom line is I'm picking from their book of authorities, okay? Now, the reality is I'm not an OPCA. And as far as their book of authorities is, I only became an OPCA after my first 2 court cases. Okay, because one bad ruling creates another bad ruling that creates another bad ruling. And I'm hitting them on both that are in here, plus the 2 before. Okay, because I'm not considered an OPCA in this book of authorities on OPCAs, organized pseudo-legal, organized pseudo-legal commercial arguments, concepts, and schemes. Okay, my scheme is very organized. Okay, but one bad ruling leads to another bad ruling, and this is what this is. Okay, this is the culmination of bad rulings. Now, I don't know many of the people here, but I do know my case law things, and at the time, and it's self-evident that then all these guys, or these legal arguments, are from people who are claiming free man on the land status, or free man, or freeman. There's all these variations of the term, and they all had birth certificates and claiming that they could disown it. Okay, and somehow that status is only pushed on me on my 3rd case. Okay. Now, at that time, I thought it was quite unusual because it wasn't Marc Boyer, all capitals. It was Marc Boyer's upper and lower case. So when I was given the paperwork, I thought, wow, they've actually recognized that I'm a person. Okay? No, I was formally recognized one of these OPCAs. Okay? Now, you find out after you get the book. Okay? You just got to read and read between the lines. Now, every one of these cases, and because I know my case, they just never mention your argument. They just omitted it. And you become an OPCA because case law precedent says, on this case, we got away with this. On this case, we got away. And if you never mentioned it in the ruling, it just never was a consideration to the courts. Okay, and basically, there's 10 other people in this country who they could use you instead of me on this legal case. Okay, seriously. Okay.
Right. And could you, for the viewers who are tuning in for the first time, just quickly summarize how it is, through your father, that you never became a person?
Okay.
Just so that they understand.
My father, before and after World War II, was a municipal accountant. Okay, he had he would have known the importance of warehouse receipts. It's impossible for a municipal accountant not to be trained in what warehouse receipts and birth certificates were. Canada never had birth certificates. England and the United States started birth. England started in 2009 at the end of World War I. United States started in 1933 with their Warehouse Receipts Act, and Canada started in 1947, Warehouse Receipts Act and Vital Statistics. Now, the reality is Warehouse Receipts Act and Vital Statistics are under the Elections Act, because Vital Statistics is under the Elections Act. The head of Elections Canada, Mr. Marc Boyer, is supposedly the only legitimate free man on the land, natural person in Canada. Just like the Pope, just like the Queen, are the only natural persons, I'm sure their families are, okay, but natural persons on the planet, in their country, who are not a person, okay? It gives them this rights of nobility title, okay? And the Masons have been trying to destroy title for the last 800 years, okay? And I have a title. I'm fair target for them, okay? This is a long-going battle, okay? They finally destroyed titles, okay? And the one title they destroyed is the title to have a right to be a human being, okay? We're all slaves under 279 of the Criminal Code of Canada, okay? Okay, a short recap of what happened. In 2001, the Criminal Code reintroduced slavery laws into the books, okay? It was still called sexual assault, okay? And they had all these hidden provisions that they needed case law applications for, okay? In 2005, I entered a courtroom, and as to the paperwork in here, I became the first case law precedent of applying, having 279 apply. At the time, I was running the Marijuana Party of Canada, which is a federal territory under the Territories Act, and the city had no jurisdiction the city police had no jurisdiction to enter my territory, okay? At the arraignment, I threw my no jurisdiction and a great argument that they were charging the commercial premise known as the Vancouver East Marijuana Party Compassion Club with selling marijuana, okay, with the activity of selling marijuana. And at the time, I hammered them with, well, how do you plead, Mr. Boyer? And I went, I'd like to know the definition of a word in the charges because I think it's destroying our party and destroying me. Okay, I think that's the intent, and deal with it. And she went, well, what do you mean? I said, the commercial premise known as Vancouver East Marijuana Party Compassion Club at 66 Kingsway is actively selling marijuana. Your Honor, I want to know, in the Dictionary of Canadian Law, and I brought out a photocopy, and I said, premises. In law, and it's in numbers, okay? The first one is more priority than the second or the third, and there's only two definitions for premises, okay? Now, the first one, it says, first, most people think premises is a building, edifice, structure, but in law, it's a preconceived, developed, organized thought, okay? Two, and at the time, the judge went, there's no such thing as a crime of thought. Thank you, you saved me 5 minutes. Second definition, premise is building, edifice, structure. So the charges read that the commercial thought known as the Marijuana Party Compassion Club is actively selling marijuana. Now, you just told me that there's no such thing as a crime of thought in Canada. You know, you're right. And the second definition is the commercial building known as the Vancouver East Marijuana Party Compassion Club is actively selling marijuana. Go charge the building. Okay? The judge she was like, wow, good question. And did a Johnny Carson, literally did a Johnny Carson in the stage room of going, well, to the Crown. Okay? Literally, okay? He stood up and went, I don't understand. Stood down. Okay? Sat down. I went, understand, stand under, funny word in law. He's not standing under any of the definitions of the words in this charge. Throw the charges out. The judge looked, you got a point there, okay? This is at the arraignment, okay?
Right.
And she looks at the Crown and goes, did he file any damages? He reaches into a suitcase, pulls out my 17-page denial of consent to be governed, hands it to her, okay? And in it, I had some great charter challenges. I had some the first one was, I don't have a person. All these laws, rules, and regulations you're applying to me don't count, okay? Two, the second one was very good, okay? Two was, in Canada, we recognize French and English as official languages. Nowhere in our Constitution or anywhere do we understand legalese. Okay, you keep prosecuting us under legalese, and you're only supposed to be dealing with us in French and English. Okay, that's a real good challenge, okay? You have no status to impose legalese onto us. It's a separate language in and of itself, and it's meant to deceive, okay? But it was 17 pages of legal art, beautiful legal arguments, okay? And they stood down, okay? And what they did was create a 1579-81-2 file. In other words, they recharged me, okay? Now, I went to the court and Chief Justice Brenner was there. And by this time, I'd gotten this tax ruling and saying that the Marijuana Party could protect its beliefs by doing proper books, okay? It's a trap. I get into it with video, for video purposes, let's restrain it, okay? Now, what happened is after 3 months, I have to bring it to a court, and when I brought it to the court, I charged the chief of police with rape, okay? Okay, because there are no slavery provisions. The way I saw it was, he trespassed my territory, plundered my bounty, and threw me out of my domain, and vanquished me from my domain. And those are the three criteria for slavery. The judge said, we don't have, those laws are exempt. They don't exist anymore. And I says, well, what do you call it now then? And shortly thereafter, I had a gag order. And as to their own case files, I became the first case law precedent of slavery being reimposed in Canada. And that was a negative because I was being imposed. Slavery was being imposed on me. Okay, and since then, there's 10 other people in this book of authorities who've gone through the same misery, okay, that they use as the precedences. I'm sure there's lots more free men on the land guys there, okay, but the 10 case law precedences are in this book, okay? Now, bottom line is, on this appeal, they're saying that, Mr. Boyer is referring to the 1998 Police Act, which is, okay, so they're saying, I'm not referring to the 1985, to the 2001, I'm referring to the 1985 Police Act, which is where there was this ruling called Big M Drug Mart. Okay, Big M Drug Mart was this company in Calgary that was a pharmacy, and they sold everything. Just like there's like the big pharmacies now sell everything. Now, they were able to sell on Sundays because they were a pharmacy, but they were taken to court because the pharmacy was this little dot in a store the size of Walmart, okay? And they went all the way to the Supreme Court, and it became Big M Drug Mart, okay? Our Regina versus Big M Drug Mart. And in that, it's like a 700-page decision. In that decision, they went way out of board. I mean, and they did it on purpose, okay? These guys conspire, okay? Okay, and in that ruling, they said that we Canadians really wanted to shop on Sunday. That means the Lord Day Act has to be abolished. And that means England's concept of God is no longer supreme. Okay? And that was the ruling. And a corporation was allowed to a Section 7 right to happiness, happiness and security and happiness, okay? And at that time, the Charter of Rights, by 1993, when they went into NAFTA, Section 7 became the security of the person. Okay, and you'd have to be a lawyer or an accountant to get that one, okay? But it's not a typo. We became the security of a person and freedom. I'm sorry, this is what NAFTA did to us, okay? And they won't put this on the evening news, okay? So basically, they're saying here that, and he says, Mr. Boyer is referring to the 1998 Police Act, and that's Section 17. And that's all he says. Oh, he mentions this, okay? And that's failure of an entity to comply with the law. And it's used to take down entire rogue police departments. You know what I mean? You could place it on the Vancouver Police Department, and authorities would come in, all the heads would be gone, there'd be trustees put in, and it's to take down corrupt police forces, okay? Rogue police forces. And the Bar Society is a police force. They are actually in charge of the police. Okay, so I'm charging them under Section 17, failure of an entity to comply of the Police Act, 1998 Police Act, if anybody wants to look it up. Okay, and they're clear violation. And what else can I say? And they're saying that the Nova Scotia, the Warehouse Receipts Act, they mention the Warehouse Receipts Act, but they don't make any reference to my birth certificate. Okay, they're just saying, oh, this is what he believes. Okay, now let's go to page 2. Points to be granted to bring to the appeal. Should Marc Boyer be granted leave to appeal? Should Marc Boyer be granted a stay of proceedings? Leave of appeal. Okay, I won't read them all. It's all okay, but basic one. Mr. Boyer's application material do not address why leave should be granted. In other words, they ignored it all. They ignored it all because I'm making a common law argument in a maritime court, and they can't understand it.
Right. So what is the court going to do then? What is the judge going to do if you don't have oral argument?
Well, bottom line is, by law, that's the first case. And by law, by making an appeal, I'm now going before a tribunal.
Yeah.
And a tribunal has the jurisdiction to run common law.
I see.
Okay? That judge can argue that she can't. Bullshit. There's case law precedent that they don't. But there's no law that says she can't and she didn't. Okay? But a tribunal where, in my position of having an abnormal, not holding a person, yeah, I can demand them. Okay, and if they don't, they'll find me guilty in a half an hour. Okay, I'm down to a choice of 3 yeses or a no.
Right. Now, so there's no factual issue. I mean, they understand that you don't have a birth certificate. I mean,
no, they don't mention it.
There's no factual issue.
That's right. They don't mention it. I have pressed no facts because I haven't made any admiral law or maritime arguments. All my arguments are common law arguments. Okay, and they're destroying common law in Canada. Okay, the Law Society submits that Marc Boyer's appeal, as currently drafted, has no merit and has no prospects of success. With respects to Mr. Boyer's pleadings are unintelligible, not in the proper form, or incapable of proper response. They can't answer in maritime jurisdiction terms, and they're barred from using common law application. You got to read between the lines. That's what it means, okay?
Yeah.
You know, it's legalese. These, you know, there's English, French, and legalese, okay? Yeah. Now, Mr. Boyer does not direct this court to the chamber's judge's errors in fact or law. You're right. I did an 11-page, they sent me an 11-page form, and I filed a half a page saying, I actually can't see any point here where she's not in breach of 279 of the Criminal Code of Canada, which is the slavery provisions. Okay, that was my argument. But he's saying, because I didn't make it, rather Marc Boyer focuses his appeal on legislation and issues that have no relevance to whether the chambers should be granted in this injunction. The fact that the law expired, there's no contract, is no relevance to these pirates? I mean, it's absurd. It's beyond. Okay, now let's go to page 2. Stay of proceedings, okay? There is no such merit to the appeal in the sense that there is a serious question to be determined. 2, irreparable harm would be occasioned to the applicant, me, if the stay was refused. In other words, they're getting ready to pounce on me, okay? Am I being rude there? It says it right there. On balance, the inconvenience of the applicant if the stay was refused would be greater than the inconvenience to the respondent if the stay was granted. In other words, better to take me down than have them exposed for returning universal slavery.
Right.
It's Continental Steel Limited versus CT Steel Limited, BCCA 251 in chambers, you know, and they list the case law, okay? The Mr. Boyer has not addressed any of these factors in his material. In the Law Society's view, Mr. Boyer has not provided the court with any cogent reason to stay the operation of the injunction because my inconvenience is far greater than their liability. And they openly say, line 2, irreparable harm would be occasioned to the application if the stay was refused. Now, I know that's a threat. You know, that's as fancy a threat as any lawyer could ever throw at you, okay? So, you know, bottom line is it's only another, that's
okay. Now, would you be able now to go through each of those grounds and to answer it here before the court of public opinion?
Okay, well, basically, I'll just stick, that's tab, I think it's tab 3. Tab 3. Yeah, Madam Justice, tab 2. Madam, in my book of authorities, the final, you know, the bindered one, the legal one. Yeah. The one I have on my web, you know, is web ready, okay? This is the real one, okay? And Madam Adair, that's the okay, Madam Adair's is just section 1, and it's 11 pages of diatribe, okay? And and basically, page 9, at the bottom of page 9, okay? I'll make a starting comment here, okay? My website's had about 100, you know, it's people, about 100 people have hit this out of the 5,000 people. I've actually had 100 people go to look at the book.
Oh, good.
And 20 people have gone through the cases, okay? You understand where, because the trackers on the website. Good. So, you know, there's some people here who are, now bottom line is I carefully, you know, listen to what she said.
Let's hope that they're all the right people.
Oh, hey, what can you say, okay? They were interested, okay? I sent this file to lots of very important people who would never go to the website. They'd go right to the Supreme Court, get the real ones, okay? Okay, so I don't really know how many really high ups would have it.
Yeah.
Okay, but after 39 points, accordingly, the orders sought to the petition under Part 1, Paragraph 1 and 2 are granted. 40, my reply. I pity your immortal soul. Okay, the court. That concludes my ruling. Great, thank you. My response. Okay, Mr. Clesinger, do you have any submissions to make? Marc Boyer, that concludes the matter, is what you said? Thank you. And at that point, I was packing up my bags. Yeah. You did say it was the conclusion of, oh, no, now we got to get into the fine things. And I'm going, but here, all sorts of things were omitted, but, she's like going, okay. Where is this? Thank you for libero. You are leave on your permission. I can take it. That's right. All right. Thank you. Okay. Marc Boyer, you're an insult to God Almighty. Thank you very much. Mon Dieu et mon droit. Okay. Mon Dieu et mon droit is written on the shield that's directly behind her head.
Right.
Okay. Now
that is what the judge said to you.
No, that's what I told the judge.
Oh.
Okay. And this is really, okay, Section 52. You are an insult to God Almighty. Thank you very much is what I say. Mon Dieu et mon droit. Right there.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope they can read it there. Okay. 52. Okay. Now, what's important there is God is lowercase and Dieu is lowercase.
Okay.
The God of England is uppercase.
Oh.
Oh, that's not a typo. I said it and they wrote it with a lowercase. Okay.
Right.
That's so demonic. It's like the king of, the God of England is no longer their God.
Oh. Okay.
And that's what Big M Drug Mart did.
I see.
Okay. And they make reference to Big M Drug Mart over here in this one. Okay.
Oh, so you're reading from things that they've done in the courtroom iconography.
Yes.
I see.
Okay. In Big M Drug Mart, they said we Canadians are no longer want to be governed by the God of England. Therefore, we will be governed under. That's why we were made chattel to back money, because the God of England was what backed money. And if we're not being backed by the God of England, then we're being governed by the God of money, Satan. Wow. No, and Big M Drug Mart is that big a case, okay? Now, and the fact that they wrote God in lowercase and Dieu, mon is in uppercase, Dieu is in lowercase. So it's not a typo, okay? They have no right. I mean, that is sacrilegious. It's satanic in intent and purpose for a judge to say God in a small g when referring to Canada's trust, okay? And referring to Dieu in a lowercase d. Dieu is God in French.
Right.
Okay? And to do that is hard to refute that we are being governed by satanic rule. Right. Okay? And it's this legalese they throw in there. Okay?
Right. So now going back to the points that the Law Society sent, could you just read the point and then read out, make your argument? We have an assembled community here under common law.
Yes.
Which is out on the internet.
Yes. Okay.
Could you pick up the Law Society's points?
The Law Society says they don't make reference to any of my points as being relevant.
Yeah.
None.
But
and I turn my response back to them is I can't find any relevance in your arguments. It's a stalemate.
A stalemate. So then what should happen?
we're going, just what the law says, we're going to an appeal. And the first thing the judge, it's a half-hour session. It's a yay or nay.
Yeah.
It's a stay and execution of charges.
Right.
Or, or they throw it out. It's a yes or no.
And what should the appeal court do?
The appeal court is being told to administer under common law.
Yeah.
And I have the right to do that because I don't have a person.
Yeah. And if that's the case, how should the appeal court rule?
The appeal court they can be the exchequers.
Yeah.
They can send me to the exchequers.
Yeah.
And they can start and they can press charges. Okay? Now,
charges against whom?
Under Respondent Superior, Justin Trudeau faces treason charges.
Why?
Because he turned us all into slaves by not signing the legislation and then signing the agreement of the TPP.
So that.
Do you understand that? It's that critical, okay?
So that on this case stands the following principle.
Mm-hmm.
That by not renewing the slavery provisions.
No, it's not that. It's not renewing. Oh. It's okay. The legislation that did this started in 2001.
Right.
Okay. It has to go through what's perfection. Okay. Which is no conflicts in any of the laws.
Yeah.
Okay. And they had till February 3rd to do this.
Right.
Okay. On February 3rd, by law, they had to pass legislation, not an order in council. This is real legislation. They probably passed an order in council but it had no, in a court of law, not relevant. They have to pass an act.
Right.
Okay. The law expired. Okay. Also, the terrorism laws expired. The copyrights laws expired. There's like 6 or 7 laws, all related to slavery. All of those provisions expired. Under the slavery provisions, the laws enforcing the enslavement of sex slaves, children, all these, there's 3 pages of slavery laws that are now valid, but they didn't pass section 1, 2, and 3, which is where authority, those judges who habitually administer laws, the provision to prevent them from administering slavery were never voted on, were never approved.
Right.
They had to pass this act on or before February 3rd, or that these 4 pages of provisions that I have on this book of authorities here, that's on my website, shows that it went into default. Now,
and why does Justin Trudeau stand guilty of treason?
Well, by signing the TPP. The TPP couldn't, that's UCC law. UCC law is Respondent Superior, which is the law is supreme. Had they voted in this law on February 3rd, slavery provisions, they never would have been able to sign the TPP. Okay, period. They just never would have been able to. Okay? Once the slavery provisions were placed into default, now they could sign. They then, about 3-4 days, added 33 pages of new things that we don't see because it's now it's an interim signing of what we're eventually going to sign this agreement. Okay, now it goes to the courts. Okay, they add this 33 pages, and in there were all these. I guarantee you, it's just like NAFTA, those 33 pages that we didn't see in NAFTA, where slavery can now start to be systematically rolled back into Canada. Okay? Now, the Bar Association openly admitted that they had full intents and purposes and backed it up with their reply that they were using me as the case law precedent so that some New York banker or some banker in England couldn't apply on their TPP in federal court, that since the law had elapsed, Marc Boyer was the case law application and you made him into a slave again. Therefore, we, under international obligations that you must uphold the law, you must uphold that we can slave drive your country into the ground. Right. And they would win. Right. You were an admiralty court judge, and you know that would be a slam dunk win.
Yeah.
Okay? There's no way they would lose that case.
Right.
Okay? Now, I walk in, and I'm the case law precedent for having this reversed. Okay? Now, I'm saying that I don't have a person. Okay? This comes back to my statement of birth. Okay? And my statement of birth is at the end of this book. And or somewhere in this book. I'm not finding it right now. But my statement of birth is actually a bond, okay? And because it's actually a negotiable bond under what's called the Warehouse Receipts Act.
Right.
They mention it, but they just as a reference, okay?
Yeah.
Because they have to make it, but they don't have an argument against it. If they make a reference to it and they don't make an argument against it, it's because they have no argument against it.
Right.
Okay, so it's up to the judges to decide the merits. And if the judges choose to maintain admiralty court rule, I will be found guilty.
Now, let me ask you, do you think that the number 665 was an intentional psyop, or is that your actual
That's
number?
actually my number.
That's your actual number?
That's my actual birth number. No questions asked. I have the ominous birth number of being 000665, and the king died a month later.
Wow.
Okay? The registry closed, and 64 years later, on the day the king died, I'm in a courtroom saying, I'm the only such bearer bond in existence in the world.
And the Rockefellers in 1933 predicted.
Actually, I checked into that. I posted it on my webpage. It's Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson said this, okay? And he was definitely a deep, dark Mason, okay?
Yeah.
He was probably the highest ranking Mason of his time in the United States, okay? And he said there's a way around this, okay? Now, what he's referring to is, and in real terms, he's referring to Isaiah. As far as Jewish belief, Orthodox Jews believe there has to be. Jesus didn't do enough Isaiah miracles to warrant being the greatness that he was bestowed, okay? Seriously, there's a strong argument there, okay? The Jews openly believe there's someone who comes at our end times, okay?
Okay.
Period, okay? Now, the concept there is, and basically, I'm a highly misunderstood character in history, okay? I'm probably the most misunderstood character in history, okay?
I see.
Okay, now, there's a guy called Chuck Missler, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of him, okay?
No, tell us,
oh, Chuck
tell us
Missler.
who he is.
Okay, Chuck Missler is now an evangelist, okay? He used to be the president of Raytheon Corporation. Back in the heyday of UFO technologies and all of this, space aliens and all this stuff, he was the head of Raytheon. He had an inside track, okay? And he talks a lot like you, okay? Except very religious.
I see.
He uses the Bible to back that there's demons and aliens and all these things, okay? He's got an entire biblical slant to this, okay?
Right.
Now, he wrote a book. He did a very nice series called The Science of Jesus Christ, okay? And he said, in the Bible, there's 33, that infamous 33, okay?
Right.
Okay, biblical passages and verses that prove that Jesus Christ was the Messiah, okay?
Right.
Okay, and he goes to say that the top 7, just the top 7, being born in a manger, just like Isaiah, I think it's 11 or 9, somewhere around there. Everything between 44 and 40 has nothing to do with me. 2 and 3 and 4 are all about me. 40 through all the way to the end are about me. Isn't that cool?
Wait, could you repeat that?
Okay.
That is the number of.
Okay, let's start at the beginning, okay?
No. Just which prophecies are about who and who?
Oh, let's start at the beginning of that and go to Isaiah 3.
Okay.
Okay. That's the guy who causes peace on earth and goodwill towards man. You will know God, I will know God, and you'll never have to tell anyone how to behave because they will know God too. And it's the entering of paradise. Plowshares will be turned, weapons will be turned into plowshares. That whole prophecy is Isaiah 3, 2 and 3.
Right.
Okay? In 3, I like the compliment. I'm referred to as the clever enchanter, the skilled craftsman and clever enchanter.
Well, didn't they put Isaiah 3 on the United Nations building?
Yes.
That's what
yes,
they did.
yeah.
Swords. I remember every time going in there, they would have swords into plowshares.
Yes, that's Isaiah 3.
Yeah.
Okay? And in there...
That's Rockefeller.
Yes. And again, these guys are waiting. They'll open their coffers openly when Isaiah arrives, okay? Period. That's, in Orthodox Judaism, they should be opening their coffers.
So you're saying
as far as true bankers are concerned, coffers have to be opened.
You're saying that your abnormal birth,
yes,
and your case
is actually mentioned in Isaiah 3. In Isaiah 3,
this law case and wider claim that you're pursuing is actually mentioned in Isaiah.
Yes, across Isaiahs. Across Isaiahs, okay?
Across Isaiah?
Yeah, all across Isaiah, except for there's very few references between 4 and 40, okay? But
4 to
40?
40?
There's a lot of evidence that everything in 4 through 40 has happened. Okay? And there's a lot, there's very little other than the framework for 40 on to happen. The framework is there with the United Nations and the whole 9 yards, okay?
Right.
All of these things are, in effect, trying to fulfill Isaiah prophecies, okay?
I see.
Okay, it's in Isaiah 43, it mentions the League of, the United Nations. It's not by name, but a body of people who run the world,
Yeah.
where there's going to be someone like me who walks in and goes, show me your value. Show me what you've done.
I see.
Show me what you're up to, okay?
You mean through your case?
Yeah, well, no, and then they go, see, nothing. In fact, less than nothing.
Oh, okay, but look. Suppose that they just come and they just stonewall.
Listen,
Stonewall. I mean,
if it doesn't happen,
no.
This is all after the shaking.
No. But wait. In the late 80s, in 1990 or 91, you can see it in my book.
Mm-hmm.
I actually won a $750 million summary judgment against the government of Ontario.
And it would have had to come out of warehouse receipts.
Yeah, and not only did they stonewall it, but they just reversed it. Inside the court, they just went, boom, and there was they even went against admiralty law in the open court.
They're the lawless ones.
Yeah, they are totally lawless.
They are totally lawless, yes.
Okay, but wait. Suppose that on the 11th, then you go and you have your half hour,
and they declare,
and they just stonewall you. The court just verbatim repeats what the Law Society's submission.
They could just sit back and it's a half-hour session. They got a choice of 3 yeses and 1 no.
Yeah.
They could just listen to my little argument thereof, and to a judge, showing him big G, little g,
Yeah.
It's like whack right across the face. Okay, it's such an insult. Okay.
Yeah.
And bottom line, the irreparable harm would be occasioned to the applicant if a stay was refused. On balance, the inconvenience to the applicant if a stay was refused would be greater than the inconvenience to the respondent if the stay was granted. In other words, screw one guy. We are not backing away from the fact that we got to keep the fact that we've turned all Canadians into slavery. It's quiet. Mm-hmm. Period. It's what else can I say? That it's legalese, but that's what they're saying. Okay, I can expect I can expect to be irreparable harm would be occasioned onto the applicant. I don't know what irreparable harm is, but that's what it is. Okay, and I know that's a threat. Okay, that's a threat. Okay, now the bottom line is, and I agree, the harm created to having the entire NATO, Commonwealth, American, British, European scheme to enslave the world, that would be very inconvenient and costly to them to reverse.
No, it would be just an option that never happened.
Correct. So
they would go on with a normal day.
Well, if they could ignore me.
No.
Oh, if they paid off?
If they lift the stay.
Yes.
And allow you to proceed.
But if they allow me to proceed, I'm filing an Isaiah 3.
So?
An Isaiah 3 is the nobody. Okay? The nobody, which I'm a nobody.
Yeah.
Okay. The Chief Electoral Officer of Canada is a nobody. He owes me $1,000 and a note. Do you understand this? Okay.
Yeah. Say it.
And he owes me a note saying he will return to common law. When he gives me the $1,000 check and the note, I take my bond and the note back and order him under 337 of the Criminal Code to return my person to a lawful society, and the entire bond value of King George VI registry in today's market value, okay, is now what's called creatio ex nihilo, the creation of everything. All of that money, because I'm the only shareholder left. And my share, I've been made into a slave, which is a total violation of the covenant of King George VI. That's not just a trust. It's a trust and holy covenant that he would never allow the administration, the pure administration of slavery to return to his realm. Okay? The Queen violated it. I'm the last known subject, loyal subject in the realm, and I'm a loyal opposition of the Marijuana Party of Canada. Okay? And the Bible goes out of its way in several places to try to condemn marijuana as being such an evil herb. And, I can agree that biblical experts can expect that the one will come under a marijuana defense. Well, at least it's happened that way. Okay, and that's a 2 Timothy 4 thing. Okay, and that one is, near our end times, we will be ruled by I'll start. In Timothy 3, it says there, as I said last week, I will pick a body of people. This man who's from the worst will pick from a body of people to lend the message, get the message out there. And I'm saying that's law society. If the churches want to participate, the churches can participate. Okay? Now, 4 goes, in our end times, we will be ruled by hypocritical liars who are taught by demons, and we prevent their people from partaking in certain foods given by God in thanksgiving, And everyone knows that everything done in Thanksgiving is good. Okay? I have a propensity to filing around Thanksgiving. I don't know why.
Let's see, we're in March now.
Yeah, now we're Easter.
Easter, yeah.
Yeah,
so we have a while to go.
No, but Easter is where, good first fruit will happen when the fig leaves bloom. Shoot, okay? And last week, the fig leaves were a little 1/4 inch nub, and they might have progressed another 16th, but they're still locked at that place. So, what looked like they would sprout, like the nub breaking is not when they sprout their shoots. When they sprout their shoots is when they do that first big limp out, okay? Fig leaves look very barren, and all of a sudden they're 3 times the size because they've sprouted their shoots, and an entire new growth comes out. And the next, in the fall, you have to trim the tree back. Otherwise, it's a tree that, the fig tree probably wouldn't survive very long without humans. Okay? And there's also a connection between the fig tree and wasps. Okay? Which also has another biblical reference. But that one's really, really, really dark. We won't go there. Okay. But it's where they make.
Remember, you're making an argument to the court of public opinion.
Correct. Now, basically, in the court of look at this. We got an actor coming in. Yeah, we got an actor. Yeah, she likes.
That's 7.
Okay. So basically, I'm coming in under and saying that we have a Jonah situation where there's 2 versions of Jonah. Okay. Jonah could have been Jonah is mentioned in Luke 11, and Jonah is mentioned in Matthew 13. Okay? It's all the same players. Okay? All the same people are mentioned. Luke 21 or Matthew 23, it's just the order of things. Okay? And the only way both can happen is if they turn this one down. But they can't accept this one, okay? Now, the reality is there's supposed to be a rebellion in our end days, okay? Oh. Nothing will happen until a rebellion. And I'm saying all my challenges have been to Jacob, because as Isaiah 53, the challenge will be made on Jacob and all those who believe in this redemption, okay, will be saved, okay? And literally, my birth statement has the capacity to redeem all debt in the world, okay? By law, under the Warehouse Receipts Act, I can take it. But under Canadian law, under Commonwealth law, I can only make a charitable act under 337 with this title and this bond, okay? And since there's so much money, exactly as to Isaiah 3, I'm the nobody who comes to one of his brothers in his father's house, okay? Now that's the exchequer can now give this to Prince Philip, King George. He could give it to the Pope. He could give it to anybody, okay? He could give it to literally anybody, okay, who has a legitimate claim to it. And there aren't that many nobodies in the world. Probably Rothschild, is a nobody. He'd be smart enough to be a nobody, okay? He would know that status, okay? So the exchequer has to hand this to somebody, and they have to redeem all debt in the world with it, okay? I'm saying the trustees now administer the world in this mayhem called, what do you do in the meantime while things gear back up between a debt slave society to a free society? That's a huge transition, okay? I'm saying that the only thing that will break the stupor and the total culture of violence that the whole world is stuck in, which is a Luciferian reign, can be broken, is through a mindset. Everybody agrees that a mindset is necessary to have this happen. And the Bible says it can't happen without what today calls a reset of the currencies, okay? The canceling of all bills, but they want to still keep in the same system and just regenerate it, okay? Now, bottom line is mine comes with the new covenant of upholding God's creation. We have been serving God. John's gospel says that near our end times we will be serving the creation, not serving God. And that's exactly what we've been, the higher ups and these demonic forces are serving the creation. Okay, and that's a lot of religious people would agree with that, and they would say it takes hours to explain. Okay, but bottom line is that's what I'm doing. In the redemption of all debt and delivering the new covenant. The new covenant is to uphold God's creation. I've had this argument with all churches think that I'm the Antichrist. I've yet to find a Christian church who doesn't know about me, who thinks I'm not the Antichrist. And they basically, see, I've got the number 665, and as far as the churches and the Masons and the Mormons, and they believe that there's this guy who will be 666 who will make all kinds of promises, the whole 9 yards, and he'll never be able to fulfill them, and then Jesus Christ comes. They want me to be the patsy.
But don't you think you're projecting?
Yes, but I have to accept the burden that I do have the abnormal birth. I am the nobody of Isaiah 3. I'm the one who follows a path that's never been followed of Isaiah 40.
Yeah, but if you're successful,
no.
Yeah. If you're successful, you'll accomplish all the material change, and yet
spiritual change. Yeah, and material.
Yeah, spiritual and material, and yet socially you'll just remain a nobody.
Correct.
Yeah. So what's the problem?
The chances. Basically, it says there, okay, I will come to one of my brothers in my father's house and say, you take this cloak, which is the damage order.
Oh.
You lead this ship of ruins. Never make me leader of people. That's what it says. Now, right. Masons believe that there's this supreme ruler that governs the role, and I'd be 666, and the bar has made, invitations for me to accept the role.
How?
That was done in private conversation with Mr. Plessinger.
Oh.
It gave me the creeps when he made me the offer. It just chilled me to the bone. Okay?
Oh.
Just chilled me to the bone. Okay? And I went running to the sheriffs going, you got to do something about this. These guys are stuck in a powerful delusion.
I see.
Okay? The reality is the choice between the Jonah of Luke 11 and the Jonah of Matthew 13 is happening on April 11th.
Of 2016?
Yes.
At this proceeding?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and you've laid out for us either way, whatever the court does. Now, if the court does what normal probability would expect it to do, which is to just affirm the Law Society's brief.
Correct. Okay, they could. It's
what would happen then?
Matthew 13.
Which is?
Matthew 13 is something big happens worldwide.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
Of what nature?
A God force hits, and there's several options that you could read. The most prominent one that I would see is a creation of Shion statues, just like what happened at about the same time Nineveh was destroyed. The Shion statues. You know about the Shion statues?
No. Tell us.
Oh, in Xi'an province in China,
yeah,
they found an entire army buried across these plains, by where all their pyramids are. Okay,
yeah,
where their Valley of Pyramids, and that's in the Xi'an Valley. Okay?
Yeah.
buried beside one of these things is an entire army where every statue of, it looks like chess pieces, and they're all lined up in divisions and they've got horses stuck in positions with a samurai soldier on top, and they've got chariot guys, they've got single soldiers, they've got everybody's there lined up like little rows. And that's a character called the White Hornet did that. The Bible calls that the White Hornet, okay? Who literally, they're trying to say, and their math is right, it would take half the forests of China. They could honestly say the reason China has so little forests is because they burnt them all to make this pyre. Okay, you understand? Because that's how much wood it would take to make that many statues. People are around those statues, and some people can't be in the room with them. Okay, and that's just the way it is. They're eerie. Okay, the blades on them, the detail of the human features of these people are incredibly accurate. Okay, incredibly accurate, and every one of them is different. You know, every foot soldier is different. Every general is everybody is 100% different. And I'm saying the idea, the inward crescences, you know, like where when you make terracotta, you can't get sharp inside points. These are sharp inside points. The razor blades of their knives can still, you know, slice, you know, like slice, it's still razor sharp.
Right.
After being buried for 3,000 years.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Now, yeah, let me ask you this. Assuming that the court, right,
yes,
which has free will,
yes,
and sees that it can rule, it has the authority to rule and to lift the ban.
Correct.
What would occur then?
If they lift the ban?
Yeah.
Then they'll either send me to a court of equity where I can do this change of checks with as the nobody.
Yeah.
Or they won't. They'll give me the right to file this.
Yeah.
Okay. And proceed from there. Okay. Personally, under Isaiah, under Matthew's 13th version, there will be no miracles until the sign of Jonah. Okay? And if they say they reject my right to this writ and stay, then fraudulent miracles and wondrous signs of 2 Thessalonians 2 will appear. Now, the churches and the Masons have already judged. There's 2 guys there. There's the man of lawlessness and the lawless one. Okay? They've been saying, because I got this number 665, that I'm the man of lawlessness. Okay? Now, sorry, I'm the lawless one. Okay? I just proved that they're the men of lawlessness by having reintroduced slavery.
Right.
Okay? And there's some great world leader, the abomination. Okay? Now, in 2 Thessalonians 2, he's just referred to as the abomination. I've already fulfilled while under publication bans, I've already fulfilled Daniel's 12. I know the last time I said Daniel's 11. Daniel's 11 describes what's happening, what happened back then. And Daniel's 12 is actually where it says there will be 1,290 days from the date of the abomination that causes desolation. So there's the abomination that causes desolation there. And in Matthew, it's just an abomination. Okay? Now, will cause desolation, but it won't last long. Okay? Now, that happened. Okay. Now, I'm saying that Obama, the things mentioned in Daniel's 11 is QE1. Okay? Which happened right the same week. Well, on August 2nd, 2011 was 1,290 days after Obama entered power. Okay, and they orchestrated QE1, which is that first big bailout of all the banks, that there was a huge bailout of banks done at that time. Okay? And they, it passed. And it says it won't last long. Yeah, there was a QE2, QE3, and I think they're going for a QE4 now. Okay? And it's just spending generations upon generations upon generations ahead. Okay? Now, what can I say? Right now, I've got this thing of cash in your warehouse receipts, and we don't go any further. Okay? Now, if they do reject, then there will be fraudulent miracles and wondrous signs that will deceive all those who believe in a lie, and so will be destroyed. And then that would fulfill Isaiah 3 of, you take this cloak, you rule this ship of ruins, okay? Or this ship, ship of ruins. And I'm going, does the world have to destroy itself before? Does it have to? Because if all these horrors of Revelation have to occur, then Jesus Christ really did die for nothing.
Well, but they could be manipulating you.
Of course they are. They openly admitted they were using me as the test case to return slavery. I was invited to Masonic meetings where they wanted to entice me into this plan, and there was this $1,500 fine levied on me. And I haven't, the thought crossed my mind. I haven't done any math to prove it, but I'm saying the payment they made to Thomas or to Judas, the 21 coins that they paid, would be the equivalent of the $1,500 fine today. Okay, I'm not being rude, okay?
Yeah.
At the time they paid this to Jews, that was a considerable sum of money, okay? And $1,500 today to the average person would be a considerable amount of money, but not that much. And, I'm just pointing out that, I haven't done the math, but maybe, the offering to Judas would do that. I'm not sure.
Would do what?
Would be the same payments as what they did Judas. But that's just like a thought that I can't confirm. Okay, right. But when there's so many things in the Bible that make reference to me, I take note of all kinds of little things. Okay, in Thomas's version of the gospel,
right?
He's right, line 1.
Yeah,
he says the one who discovers the mystery of the Bible will know immortality.
Right, but
and I've discovered that clue.
No, I understand, but in a holographic universe,
yes,
that's within your hologram now, and so the powers that are trying to control the hologram,
yes,
understand that,
yes,
and may be using you because they understand the Masonic courts.
Oh, they understand.
And then
I totally admit that I'm just a pawn on a chessboard.
Yeah. And then we'll begin to manipulate. So from that perspective, if we look at the Law Society's brief, right, as a Masonic manipulation, what can we predict the court or the tribunal's Masonic manipulation to do?
Not even the players of this chess game know that. Because mankind was given free will.
Free will.
And all of these choices are made freely by these people. Now, okay? If they think they can't make it, that's not the good forces of this world that are telling them they can't do it. Anyone who, I can't do that, and I gotta do this because it's so embarrassing, they would rather save the embarrassment of having enslaved the world by paying, instead of paying all debt in the world. They might use, the Red Society's plan to redeem all debt in the world under their schemes as a second. They might try all sorts of. The future's not known. Okay, but they can use my warehouse receipt. And because I'm saying it's not me, give it to him, whoever they give it to has a lot more credibility to receive it than me. and I carry on my life, okay? I got this $1,000 bond back. Geez, that's a lot of money.
Well,
someone might want me for a speaking entertainment.
We wish you well. We wish you well at the April 11th hearing.
Let me basically, they call me the Mormons, the Mormons, the churches, the Zionists have a legitimate beef to say I'm their Antichrist.
Now,
okay,
have they communicated this to you?
I am here. Oh no, yes. Okay, I've had so many. Oh, there's so many examples of that. I could go on for examples where I'm on a one-on-one.
Oh.
Okay, let's take the example of in Toronto. I'm going into a courtroom, and I had to get another set of particulars because they made me come back for a court session. I'm standing there with the Crown, the main sheriff beside me, and I'm here, and we're outside this courtroom, and she handed me my particulars, and I look at her and it says, "You do realize I'm the advocate, okay?" And she just went, snap. Yes. I looked over at the sheriff, and I started asking her questions, and the demon in her was responding. Yeah. It wasn't her. She was in a and just repeating, and I'm looking at the sheriff, and he's looking at me, he's looking at her, and they were saying, "Oh no, we're proceeding. We're in court tomorrow, the whole 9 yards. You're going to court tomorrow." I show up in the courtroom the next day. No, we're not proceeding. And there was like 25, 30 sheriffs in the room with me.
Oh my God.
So bottom line is, but there is a strong argument that I'm the advocate of John's gospel. Okay, period. And, because I have done all, what the advocate does is what I'm doing. Okay, there's, again, I'm just a human being. Apparently, I have a role after the shaking. I have no idea what it is. But even after the shaking, don't ever make me leader of people.
Now, you talked a bit about the shaking.
Oh, yes.
Could you talk a bit more about it? And
through the gentle spirit, it could be the nicest thing where all of a sudden, it's actually described in a Beatles song. A day in the life. Woke up, got out of bed, dragged a comb across my head. Went to work in a little bit. And then he stepped outside and he got on the bus and that's the shaking. Okay, and that's the gentle spirit taking over. Okay, I read the news the day before. The English army had just won the war, and all these things. Everything changed just in the blink of an eye. Okay, and that's the metanoia. Okay, metanoia, total about face and how we think. Okay, it could be the gentlest thing that ever happened. Okay, and we just slip into a new reality. And that's where everyone is saved. Okay, and my goal is to save everyone. Even a Rothschild can be saved under my plan. Repent, redeem all debt in the world, cash in your bonds, and use your trust bonds, and there are quintillions, octillions of dollars in trust bonds out there. And they're being stuck there so that they can do something charitable with them. Okay? And I'm saying do any act to uphold God's creation. You now have the money to clean the Pacific Ocean. You now have the money to clean every dirty hazard in the world. You now have money to return the water to the air, to the deserts. We now have the money, ability, and actually the will to uphold God's creation. Because ever since Genesis 4, we've been destroying it. And it says there, everywhere we will go, we will destroy his creation. Okay, and that was placed on a body of chosen people to do. Who were the chosen people? The Jews. And it's a burden on them. Okay, apparently, when they get a chance to open their coffers, even the most criminal assholes of the world will become the most benevolent people in the world. And it's a faith. Otherwise, they'll destroy us. Okay? Near our end times, we're supposed to know everything evil, everything that's gone down in dark place, in behind the scenes. And the internet is a very good example of the gentle spirit showing us everything that's happened through in dark places. Once the metanoia occurs, okay, it's exactly as to Romans 13. We slip into four. When all debt in the world is paid, the only remaining debt will be the eternal love for our neighbor. Okay? And we slip into 4 commandments. The 1, 2, and 3 are gone. Okay? And the big one that's gone is thou shalt not lie and bear false testimony. Okay? And that one's gone because it's going to be impossible to lie. What in your heart, as to Isaiah 3, he will know God, I will know God, and you'll never be able to tell him what to do because he knows God as well. And basically, the goodness in your heart will shine through. You won't be able to tell a lie. Okay? Your mind may be able to contrive a lie, but your heart will give it away. Your heart is far more powerful than your brain. Ask anybody. And your liver down there is, between the heart and liver, infinitely more powerful than the brain. Heart and liver combined do radically more work than the brain. And we will be able to read people's hearts, okay? We will all shine on like the moon, the stars, each with their own luster, and the sun. And the key to that is the redemption of all debt. Okay? The key to, if authorities do it without the new covenant, it'll just be a repeat again. It'll be like Genghis Khan going through the Hungary and just slaughtering everybody, the bankers and the money and the kings and everything, putting in their rulers and saying, all debt is paid, we don't care. If you want new loans, come and see us. It wasn't a redemption, it just was a new leader doing the same old, okay? And most people who have conquered countries in the way back in the past, did so, got the loyalty of the peasants and everybody else by saying, all debt eliminated. Why? I killed the guy. Am I your hero? Yeah, you're instant hero. And you start lending money back out because they're still stuck on this wheel of never having enough money for the next crop or wanting to do whatever. And easy money makes pressure. What can I say? So basically, the new covenant is in Isaiah 40. This guy who has poor man, and I'm poor. Take my word for it, okay? I would not, by no standards could anyone call me rich, okay? It says this poor man will create a form of currency that will never rot by following a path that's never been followed. How could there be a path if it's never been followed? And I'm saying civilizations have come, civilizations have gone throughout thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Ours is gloriously coming to an end, and we should all be happy about this. Paradise on earth is returning, with or without Jacob. They're being tested. Israel is being, the 13 tribes of Israel are all being tested. Okay? It's their choice. Okay, you can throw the churches in there too. I'm sure they've taken up one of these houses, okay? You know, the Levites are there, da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, the Levites in the churches, they could call themselves a tribe of Israel there. And they're all, and from those, and all over the world, there will be the sons of the living God appear from this, you understand? And there will appear these guys. And in Matthew, it says, there'll be people in the desert saying they're the Messiah. These guys, they'll be all over the world saying they're Messiahs. And there'll be even people in high authority saying they're Messiah. Don't believe any of them. Okay? And all they are sons of the living God. And they're not the only one. Okay? The return of the gigantes. Okay? Which is a Greek, is it Greek or I think it's Greek. Mm-hmm. The word gigante, which is the gods. People with genuine powers. Apparently there's 186,000 of those coming. Okay? Mm-hmm. And that means everywhere and around the world, it's these people will be. Mm-hmm. And if you have, all of us will have different personalities to accommodate the areas we are in, you know, like, and people who have these beliefs will gravitate naturally to this temple or that temple or that temple, and the areas between these temples where people will just find a perfect place for them. Right. You know, in Isaiah, it says the sun will never set on her empire. Okay, right. and that's an Isaiah thing.
Well, these changes are occurring.
They are all occurring, and they can happen. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and it'll all happen so peacefully and naturally. Yeah. Under when all debt in the world is paid, redeemed, and given a direction to create the metanoia, which is the total about face of everything. Yeah.
Okay, so you're giving reality a yes, no. You're providing more information, you think, for a matrix, a control matrix to make a decision to take certain actions that will, they being gatekeepers or something?
The travelers are mentioned in Isaiah 60.
The who?
The travelers.
Travelers?
Yeah, the travelers are mentioned in
who 60. Who are the travelers?
Oh, well, they didn't, it's like, why didn't the travelers help us out before this? Okay, and the travelers is, I would say, is a reference to the nicer dark forces out there. You know, like they're in what would you call the extra dimensions? Okay,
I see.
Okay, and you know, what can I say? You know, like all these, you know, there are some good ones there, and the battle of the, you know, it'll be the same battle in heaven as it is on earth. Okay, yeah. And there's all kinds of people who point to, there's all kinds of glitches happening around the sun now, and it sure looks like there's a battle in heaven. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not being rude. Mm-hmm. Go look at the news. Go look at your alternate news things, and this is real. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's all really dark. Okay, it's all esoterical. You know, the sciences, the lost sciences. Okay, what can I say?
And so that this has really been a great focus of yours. Do you have any other focuses?
Well, basically, you know, to give comfort to the 99.9% of the people out there.
Yeah.
You're being liberated from the 1%. Okay? You know, and the battle is, as to Ephesians, is not against flesh and blood, but against the higher powers of the principalities, okay?
I see.
And bottom line, the Masons believe, and they can point to the battle, that God has dominion over his municipalities and his principalities, okay? And they're not singular, okay? The municipalities are all those civilizations that ascended this way, and all the principalities are the civilizations, and in both cases, most went this way and some went that way, okay? And the dark forces, you know, are stuck in channel 5 and those frequencies around there. You know, you can have 100 stations around channel 5 real easy, and that's 100 different realities in there. You could, Earth is 8 ohms. There will be another Jesus. There will be another, there'll be another Adam. There'll be another Moses. There'll be another, and they'll be looking at our ruins, trying to figure out what it's all about. Isn't that cool? You understand? You know, the pyramid will probably still be there. The Sphinx will probably still be there. But they'll be looking at our ruins too, okay? And the game goes on. You know, they're saying right now that they found some little people, maybe 18, 20 inches tall, that date back 18 million years ago. Really cool looking, you know, natural human beings that look in that, you know, 18 million years ago. But in reality, they don't carbon date. They can't really carbon date the fossil. They carbon date the soil beside them. Okay? Now, in the world, they found entire forests vertically standing that are sunk 800, 1,000 feet under the ground. Okay? And we call those coal reserves now. Okay, the really, really, really dense reserves were now called coal reserves because they were petrified there as coal. But they find entire trees, and they're going, that tree could not have been buried across 1,000 years, 10,000 years of silt forming. Okay, we're supposed to have a shaking, okay? And the shaking will literally, mountains will change, the topography of the world, and all kinds of things are just going to go, fall deep down. And so that our you know, the next civilization will go, oh, look at this, the earth beside it. These guys were here 80,000 years ago. No, they sank to a level of debris that's 80,000 years ago.
Wow.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
Okay. You know,
kind of hologram shifts.
What can I say? We're entering paradise on earth, whether people like it or not. And the glorious one is, if everyone's saved, then that's so big. You cannot imagine how big it is that when everyone's saved. Okay? But it's, there's so many variables. It's, you know, and all I can do is sit back and go, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know what's going to happen if I don't. What's it say? There is some merit to the appeal in the sense that there is a serious question to be determined. Choice of two things. Irrevocable harm would be occasioned on the applicant if the stay was refused. And on balance, the inconvenience to the applicant, I have to accept, it's just an inconvenience to me, compared to if the stay was refused, would be greater than the inconvenience to the respondents if the stay was granted. Yeah, they would have to change everything. Period. There would be this giant embarrassment where people, you know, these leaders of the world would have to say, yes, we did this on the hope that something like this would happen, and see, it did. See, it did. Okay? It'd be like South Africa, where the guy came up and, you know, he'd look at the family of the only 3 descendants left of a family, and the guy had murdered everyone else of his family, and he cries and says he's sorry, and they move on. Okay? That type of thing will happen all over the world because we have to move on. It can't end up in a bloodbath because that only fields the Dracos and Archons. They live off this misery. They live. It's an energy force for them. They live off of it. Okay? They're all stuck in 5 ohms, or in the 5 ohms. Stars, 5, goat head, backwards. All of these 5 symbols are all representative of dark forces. You know, people who have the lower realms. And I'm not saying that there are people out there who haven't had contact with the higher realms, okay, with the municipalities as opposed to the principalities. But Vancouver is quite unique in that. We voted out. They tried to tell us to become a principality, and we voted it out. Okay? BC is still a municipality. It's still, and it's probably one of the last places in the Commonwealth that is still a municipality.
And what's the difference?
One's in the dark side, one's in the light side.
Vancouver is still on.
Back in 2003, 4, somewhere around there, we had that vote. We had a Mayor Campbell at the time.
Yeah. Okay,
and a Premier Campbell. And go ask someone in Scotland if you should trust a Campbell. Because they're the ones who screwed Queen Anne of Scots back in England in 2015 when the Act of Supremacy was put in. Okay? The Campbell family are notorious. Campbell means forked tongue, you know, in their language. And they would, you know, the idea of electing a Campbell is absurd to these people. And bottom line is, the one Campbell is a senator, and the other Campbell is a high commissioner for Canada and England. Okay, and that's just the way it is. Okay, they have been richly rewarded for doing what they did. Okay, and Campbell, at the time, he had these closed meetings after the vote, and they came out of the vote, and they started acting like these guys don't know what they're doing. We should have passed that, and they acted like principalities were. They were going to behave like a principality whether we voted it in or not, because of the grander order of the Masonic lodges, just like you had in your court case. Your court case disturbed a grander order of the Masonic lodges, okay? Okay, that vote to not become a principality, BC not become principalities, really affected the grand order of their grand scheme to turn the whole world into principalities, the darker side, okay? And they're working for God, okay? God has dominion over his municipalities and his principalities, and they're part of the plan, and you're right. They are the ones who cause the end of a millennium every time. Okay, I'm not being rude.
You mean who? Sorry.
Those in the principalities.
Yeah.
Okay, those in the principalities, okay? BC doesn't have. Okay, now, oddly enough, 15 years after that, landed a week before or 2 weeks before the election in Vancouver, and I was in Supreme Court filing papers going, how can you run an election when the Elections Act is expired? You understand? They didn't fix it in 15 years. And I was blocked at that time. That was one of these major, major blocks that they went, oh, whoa, how did he find that?
Right.
How did he find that?
Yeah.
Page 1, line 1. Most people just take the front page.
Right.
And just go. Page 2, that's where the writing starts, okay? No.
Right.
Page 1 is where it says, when does this law enact and when will it expire?
Right.
Okay, and the expiry is there on page 1. Go look at the criminal code.
So you've been actually following expiry dates just because that's one of the core course of your current appeal.
Well, you know, when I found that one and filed against it, and I saw that the criminal code expired a week before I went to court, and they were ramming the slavery conditions on me, I went, ding! I've seen this before.
Right. Well, we're winding up
Cool.
The interview now, and I just wondered, is there kind of a summary thought or?
Yeah, I'm just a nice guy. I'm just a nice guy.
Yeah.
Most people in this town don't like me, which is exactly the prophecy. They find for me to get along with people means don't talk this religious and real deep politics shit. And I can find friends who can have nice conversations and things like this. But, I totally terrorize people when I start talking in deep religious terms. Because I can throw out stuff at you that just makes your blood curdle. And I don't, okay? I actually don't, okay? Because, what can I say? We are entering paradise on earth, whether you like it or not. And that's just the way it is, okay? And Jacob's being tested, just like the Bible said. Another body of people will be put in authority in another Genesis, and we'll go through it all over again. Channel 8 will always be here. It is the center of the universe, okay? What you call the exopolitics, what I call dimensions, what the realities they've been called,
Gotcha.
Okay? All of those things are being awakened. And absolutely nobody's got it right, because the great deceiver wrote the rules in Sumer. And everybody's been following a script by the great deceiver. And they find great truth in theirs. And they find, the other guys over there find great truth in theirs. And when I talk to people, eventually I hit a chord where they go, oh, you're dead wrong on that one. You can't be right on that one. And that's a Mason belief that, when they started forming all these churches in the 1850s, and things like this, there wasn't a flood of churches happened through Masonic higher ups, higher ups in after 1850. Okay, when they found the tablets of the Nineveh.
I see.
Okay, or the Sumerian tablets, as they call them. Okay, now because it gave this great course of how to do it, and Revelation says, don't rewrite the Bible because you'll never make it to heaven. And they're going, oh, great, I don't want to go to heaven. And they wrote bad versions of the Bible. There's 150 some odd versions of the Bible out there. And that means there's 152 of them that are all going to hell? Well, I don't know. That's not my call.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
But, bottom line is 99.9% of the people are being liberated from this reality that we're stuck in.
Right.
And it's manufactured. It's manufactured. You could go into that. I could go into that so deep as to show how it's manufactured. But the old expression of, be careful when you point one finger at you because there's three pointing back at you.
Yeah.
Okay, when you're making an accusation, there's three pointing back at you.
Yeah.
And basically, all these dark forces that are subjecting to us are 3 times worse on the subjector than the oppressed.
Good.
Do you understand what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
Their mindsets are so twisted.
Yeah. Right. And so we wish you all good luck on April 11th. And the force is with you.
Oh, I suspect so. Basically, right now, with the threat, with the Hebrews 10 threat of the liability falling on everyone who trampled on the messenger, is that they will face a merciless death if they don't, if 2 or 3 witnesses don't rule correctly, then how much greater is the punishment for those who trampled on the messenger? It's a question. It doesn't say it's going to happen.
Oh, so you're thinking tribulation.
No, that's how much greater is that's a Hebrews 10.
Oh.
So, yeah, Hebrews 10 and 11 are interconnected. 9, okay. 9, Hebrews 9 mentions that if there's going to be a new covenant, there almost always needs a blood sacrifice.
So you're saying.
Okay, I'm delivering the new covenant, which is the change of everything. When we go from upholding everything spiritual to everything of substance, everything changes. Because we're going from one everything to the other everything, and everything changes.
I see.
That's a really simple, that's a really, really basic, okay? Our entire way of thinking is changed in a moment.
Well,
and that's good news.
Good.
I'm here as to Romans 13. I will send an agent to do good. I'm an agent. I'm the chief financial agent in the marijuana party. Okay? I'm an agent. And I'm telling you, do good.
Do good.
And if you do good, you will be richly rewarded. And if you don't do good, he does not carry that sword for nothing. Okay? And the bearer of the scepter in Vancouver is not there.
Oh.
Do you understand what I'm saying? I could become the trustee and the bearer of the scepter in Vancouver because I'm in a Vancouver court.
Oh, good.
That's like a third option. I said there was 3 options, okay?
Well,
okay. No, I'm just saying that the possibilities are outrageous out there, but the fact that there is no trustee in Vancouver is, fine. Bring back Paul Hancock as trustee. He believes in me. He knows what I'm up to. He quit over me, and it wasn't the only thing. I've had the high-ranking people of the city going, no, Mark, it wasn't just you. Oh, yeah, it wasn't. It was Campbell having ignored the population who voted said, no, we're not taking principalities and doing it anyways. Okay? No trustee could take on that trust, period. So he quit. Marge Colson, after that, took on the trust. And she met my son once and got cold feet and quit the week after. Isn't that cool? Okay, and she was in staff. They had, Janice McKenzie, Vancouver had 3 people who could qualify to be trustees in its own city. Isn't that cool? Janice McKenzie took the job until I filed these documents, and as soon as the election was over, she resigned because she's the trustee, and she simply can't validate that an election occurred, and all these things happened while there was no Elections Act. It really compromises her. Trustees can't do those kind of things.
Right.
Okay? They're not going to be able to find a trustee. Or I really have a hard time believing they could ever find a trustee because the last 3 were fired. And there's been 3 trustees in 5 years, and Paul Hancock had it for 18 years.
I see.
Okay? I like Paul Hancock. I met him the other day. We had a nice conversation. I didn't mention, he just looks at me and likes me, okay? He's not there. I'm not involving him,
Yeah.
He works at UBC now, just a few miles away from here.
Yeah.
And, Paul Hancock is a trustee. I know he knows what to do. The trustees know what to do. There's a reason why they're paid so much. And why are they called trustees? They control the bonds. They control the trusts. They control trying to think of the word. There's a word. Those giant trust bonds set up by the Order of Saint Germain back in 1500s. Okay, and the trusts created by the Pope in 1200s when they when they started their their grading. The trust funds are or let's cash in the trusts of the. I'll give you a real example. Let's cash in the trusts of the Castros. Okay, the Castro chain. It's really, if we get into it, they were rulers in Rome, and they were rulers in Iraq, in Iran. They were Persian rulers 7,000 years ago. The Castro family is a huge powerhouse in this world, in really high places. Yeah. They were when America crossed across and went into California. The one family they didn't mess with was the Castros. Mm-hmm. Okay, Fidel and his family still owns huge tracts of California. Why? That kind of nobility just doesn't lose respect. Okay,
no, I understand.
Okay,
I understand.
So bottom line is everything's in place for this to happen. They just need an excuse, and why not use me as an excuse? Because I'm going to say, never make me leader of people. I'm just a bearer of good news. Thank you very much. I want a good life. Apparently I live for eternity, but so do you.
Well,
okay. On that, I think we have your signs here. Walk the dog in park.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yeah, that's my 3 o'clock.
Yeah, that's your 3
reminder. So Seven's got to go for a walk.
Very good.
Let me just get this over here.
But I think we got a recording there.
Oh,
oh, you're having trouble.